Hello students, I am here with another video from the chapter of class 10 Science NCERT book, that is from the chapter Life Processes. Now before starting today's video, I would like to tell you all that till now what all things we have discussed in this chapter. So we have we have discussed about the different life processes. Like we have started with the life process of nutrition, where we have studied about the types of nutrition. What is the meaning of the word nutrition? Which means that it is a process by which the organisms are making their food. I mean, they are gaining nutrition. Okay, so this is known as the word, this is the way by which the organisms are eating their food. They are taking up their nutrition. Then what happens? They are going to take up the they are going to gain their nutrition especially. So the nutrition will come under the complete category of where the food is being generated. After that, from where the food is being extracted, then it is going inside the body. Then what happens? It is going to be broken down into smaller pieces. Once it is broken down into smaller pieces, it is going to be converted to give energy. It convert to give energy. So this complete process is coming under the process called nutrition. Okay, now what is known next? We have studied about the word modes of nutrition. Okay, we have studied about the next term was this mode of nutrition. There are two basic modes of nutrition. One is the autotrophic mode of nutrition and the other one is the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, in this autotrophic mode of nutrition we have studied about the plants are able to do the photosynthesis only. That is why they are said to be as the autotrophic. They are having the autotrophic mode of nutrition. Then after that we have studied about the next mode of nutrition, that was heterotrophic mode of nutrition, in which we have studied about the three modes of nutrition. Saprophytic mode of nutrition, where the organisms are gaining nutrients from the dead and decaying organic matter. Then parasitic mode of nutrition is there, where they are gaining the nutrition the from the other organism which is living. Okay, then after that we have to study about the next mode of nutrition was holozoic mode of nutrition, which we are going to discuss in the details. Then after that again I switched over to the same topic, that autotrophic mode of nutrition, where photosynthesis was studied. So we have seen the details of the photosynthesis, and now I wanted to tell you about the factors which are necessary for photosynthesis. Okay, so what are the factors which are necessary for photosynthesis, children? So for the first factor is chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll is necessary. Then water is necessary. Then carbon dioxide is necessary. Okay, sunlight is also necessary. So these are the factors which are necessary for the process of photosynthesis. So this could be studied under the headings of the activities. So many activities are given over here. So first one is chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. For that you have to take two plants, and one the plants would be variegated plants. It means that it is having the different colors, patches. Croton plant could be easily taken for this purpose. And then what you have to do, you have to keep one plant in the dark, and then other plant has to be kept in the sunlight for 72 hours. Now you have to pluck one leaf from both the plants. Okay, then what you have to do, you have to do that iodine test. Okay, you have to do the iodine test. Now you will see that the parts where the white patches were there, the parts of the leaves which was having the white patches, so with colorful patches there, no photosynthesis has occurred. There would be no color change. The white patches would remain as such, because the portion where the green was there, then what happens? The chlorophyll containing areas were present. I mean, the green parts were present. There only the photosynthesis was happening. Now, if photosynthesis is happening in those areas, there only the starch was being formed, and the red and black color of reaction with the starch and iodine would take place in those places only. Whereas those places which were white in color, they were having different colors, less. I mean, it was not green in color, so that was not showing you the presence of chlorophyll, and thus there was no starch being present. And because of the no starch which was present, then what happens? No blue black color was obtained. Okay, no blue black color was obtained. So this was about, we can say that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Okay, now the next is carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Again, one activity is given over here. The land plants, they obtain it from atmosphere, whereas aquatic plant is also obtaining the carbon dioxide from water which is being dissolved. Okay, an atmosphere contains 0.03% of carbon dioxide. It enters in the leaves through the help of the structure called the pores, which were said to be as stomata, as we have already studied about the structure of stomata, which consists of the guard cell and the stomatal opening. Okay, so the guard cell is being guarding the stomatal pore, which which helps in the opening and closing also, as well as it is going to take up the oxygen, as well as it is going to give out oxygen and take up the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Okay, now it enters with the help of the stomata, and stomata functions as a turgor opened valves. Turgor opened valves means it is going to be opened and closed because of a force which is being exerted by the uh, by the um, by the material which is present inside the guard cell, the ions which are present inside the guard cell, the water content which is present inside the guard cell. It is going to be maintained by the opening and closing of the stomata is maintained by the presence and absence of the water in the stomata. Okay, in the guard cell actually. So what happens when the carbon dioxide has to enter, the stomata will be opened. So these stomatas would be opened. Now what happens? This is stomatal pore. Okay. So this would be opened and the carbon dioxide could enter inside and oxygen could come outside after photosynthesis. Okay. So this was all about the way by which, again this and here what happens, this is going to be opened. How this is going to be opened? Because of the cells which are present in the surrounding of the stomata. This is going to this is going to apply some pressure on the stomatal walls, on the walls of guard cell, and because of which the guard cell remains open. So what happens? There are some ions which are also responsible. Potassium ions are there. Potassium ion is also responsible for the opening and closing of the stomata. Okay, so it is it is responsible. Sorry, it is responsible for the opening and closing of the stomata, that is the K plus ions. Okay, so potassium ions are there, which is which is whose influx is happening, which is entering inside the stomata, and because of which it causes swelling up of stomata, and it is going to be the stomata is going to be closed. Okay, similarly, it is going to remain open during the daytime, whereas it is going to be closed during night time. The carbon dioxide is used internally in photosynthesis. More of it's diffused from the outside. More of it is diffused from outside. Okay. Then after that, what happens during daytime? The leaves can also use small quantity of carbon dioxide and also through respiration. So requirement of carbon dioxide is only for the during the daytime for photosynthesis is occurring. At the night time, the carbon dioxide is evolved by the respiration, remained, it is going to be unutilized. Then stomata gets closed. This prevents the loss of water through transpiration, as stomata is getting closed during daytime if a higher intensity of sunlight is there. So opening and closing of stomata is also maintained by certain factors like wind, water, okay, the presence of sunlight, increase of temperature. If there is increase in the temperature, then the stomata closes. If there is increase in the sunlight, the stomata closes. Then if there is less water scarcity, then also stomata is closed. Okay, so stomata's opening and closing also is maintained by the stomatal opening and closing is also maintained by the presence and the absence of these presence and absence of the water, presence and absence of the sunlight, presence and absence of the carbon dioxide. Okay, so all these things are responsible for the opening and closing of the stomata. Okay, children. Then next is the during evening and morning, the light intensity is very low. So the rate of photosynthesis is also very less. Okay, so the rate of photosynthesis also is very less. Fine. Then after that, at the time of leaves, then what happens? The leaves are neither they are neither obtaining carbon dioxide from outside, nor they are releasing the gas. The intensity of light, whereas the photosynthesizing organ neither absorbs nor carbon dioxide is being released, and this is known as the composition point. Then the next activity regarding the photosynthesis is the carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. So what kind of photosynthesis, how the carbon dioxide is responsible for doing photosynthesis, children? So this activity says you have to de-starch the potted plant. How can you de-starch it? You can just pluck the leaves from the plants which were kept for 72 hours in the dark time, and then you will boil the leaves in the alcohol and then wash it, then boil it in water. Okay, so this is how you're going to de-starch it. Then what you will do next is you will take two bell jars, and you will uh, just invert the bell jar over that over the plant. Okay, now you have to completely cover that plant, and then what you will do, take two potted plants which has been de-starched by keeping them dark for 2 to 3 days. Okay, de-starch means all the starch is being utilized. Place them on the glass slabs. Keep watching what is happening to the potassium hydroxide solution in one of the jar in one of the slab. Okay, invert the bell jar over each potted plant. Seal the edges of the bell jars and in the slabs and invert it. Seal the close. You have to close the edges. Then after that, place two cells, both the sets in sunlight. After 2 hours, you have to pluck one leaf from each of the each of the plant, and then you have to test the same as the starch which we have tested in the last, I mean the previous experiment. Okay. So next what you're going to do, you are going to put you'll keep one bell jar, and inside that bell jar you're going to put one plant. Okay, I'll just draw it and tell you, as it is not possible to do the experiment, so I just can draw the diagram, and then it would be clear for you all. Okay. What you will do, you'll take one potted plant. Okay, then what you will do, you will cover this up, and while covering you will keep the solution of potassium hydroxide. Okay, you will put some potassium hydroxide solution over here. So this is potassium hydroxide solution. Okay, I'll just write it down. Potassium hydroxide. And you will take one control also, the same plant, one more plant would be there which is having the some. Okay, you are going to have the same plant, you will take, you will cover this up, but there would be no potassium hydroxide solution. So both the plants are there, but the difference is that this is said to be as control. You are going to compare it. So you are going to compare it with some with one experiment, and in the other you are going to do the experiment. So here you will put this potassium hydroxide solution in a petri dish inside this bell jar, and you will leave it for some time. What you are going to do, you will take two potted plants we have taken, as it has been already de-starched. For de-starch you will keep you will keep it in dark for 2 3 days. Then you will place it in the on the glass slab as it is being placed over here. As soon as you are placing it under the glass slab, what you will do, what is the purpose of placing it in the bell jar and on the glass slab? You could easily observe what is happening inside. Okay, so for observation you will be easily observing. Place them on a glass slab. Keep a watch on the glass having potassium hydroxide solution on one of the slab. Invert the bell jar over each potted plant. Seal the edges of the bell jar by Vaseline. Place two set of sunlight. After 2 hours, pluck one leaf from each of the plant and test the same for the starch. Now for 1 hour you will keep like this, and then after that you are going to pluck one leaf from both the plants, from this also, from this also, and then you will do the starch test. Same condition, same starch test, iodine test would be done. You will it was already being de-starched. You will just put the iodine solution on these leaves, and then you will find out the color. If the color is changing to blue black in nature, it means that it is having the starch content in it, whereas the other leaf which is not having the starch content is not going to be black in color. It is not going to change its color. Okay, so this is what is about that carbon dioxide is necessary. Now how this is necessary, I'll just tell you. So what would be the observation? Leaf of the this one control plant, okay, which was without potassium hydroxide, turns blue black. Why it is turning blue black? Because you have already discharged it, as well as whatever carbon dioxide was present, it was being absorbed by this potassium hydroxide solution. So this is going to tell that carbon dioxide is not carbon dioxide which is being prepared. This is going to be absorbed. Okay, so no photosynthesis was occurring properly because no carbon dioxide was present outside. From the outside also carbon dioxide was not entering because you have sealed the bell jar. Okay, so what happens? The potassium hydroxide color was the same, will remain same. Then what can you infer? The leaf of set this one, which turned blue black, has synthesized starch with the help of photosynthesis, whereas if the bell jar contains carbon dioxide, there is no potassium hydroxide, then leaf of set this one, which was having the potassium hydroxide in it, is absorbing the carbon dioxide, and then what happens? Hence you can say that the carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Okay, now what precautions you can take? You can take that discharge the plant completely. Then you have to seal the edges of this bell jar so that no extra amount of carbon dioxide goes out, not the diffusion to outside environment. Then you have to handle the leaves with care. Then take the precautions while doing the iodine test, iodine starch test, like you have to boiling water, you have to use boiling water. Then decolorization, hot alcohol is also being used. So please take care while burning the alcohol, while boiling the alcohol, because alcohol is inflammable in nature and it is going to catch fire. Now we will do that water is necessary for photosynthesis. Again, land plants absorb water by the soil, by the roots, whereas the aquatic plant is already present in the water. So the absorbed water is transported to the photosynthetic area in the xylem. The minerals are also transported along with the water. They are used to synthesize the different organic substances like sulfur, protein, phosphorus in the nucleic acid, magnesium in the chlorophyll. Okay, so all these are responsible for the development of these main substances which are present in the presence of the water only. If no water is present, all these substances would not be, all these materials would not be formed. Okay, then after that what you will see, the small quantity of water is being used as in photosynthesis, as in photolysis of water is being there, which acts as an electron donor. Okay, which acts as electron donor, and it also going to be converting, splitting it into, water is being splitted up into the hydrogen ions, electrons, and also in the oxygen. So this is what is the oxygen, from where it is coming. The oxygen is coming from the photolysis of water, which we have already studied. Now we have to study another experiment, that is the oxygen is necessary. So we are studying the conditions which are responsible for photosynthesis. So the next condition which we need to study is oxygen is also evolved during photosynthesis. So oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis. How this is being evolved during photosynthesis? A large beaker you have to take. Okay, you have to take one large beaker. You have to keep inverted, keep one funnel, okay, inside this large beaker. Then just keep one funnel. You have to cover this funnel with a test tube. Okay, you will cover this funnel with a test tube. Now what you are going to do? You are going to put one hydrilla plant inside this. You are going to put one hydrilla plant. Okay, you can keep this plant. You have to put one plant. I think this might be visible, or I must draw it more neatly. Okay, you have to take one beaker, then just put one funnel inside it. Inside the funnel you will take the plants. and then invert a test tube over it. Okay, I'll not draw the boundaries, otherwise it would be confused. Okay, so this is a water plant, and you will fill this with water. You will see that water also rises here, and as soon as the water is being, and keep it in the sunlight. Keep it in the sunlight. Now what happens as you are keeping it in the sunlight, then I'll write it here, sunlight. Okay, then what happens? So as soon as you're keeping it in the sunlight, you will see that this water plant starts doing photosynthesis, and this is going to evolve. You will see that bubbles are coming out. Sunlight is there, or I can draw this here. Okay, so now what you can see, this is hydrilla. It is a water plant. Okay, you can keep hydrilla plant. This is the funnel. Then this is water, and this is sunlight. Okay, now as soon as the water is, as soon as the sunlight is entering inside the, it is also entering inside this hydrilla plant. So as a result, what happens, after some time you will see that small bubbles are coming out. These gas bubbles are there, and this is oxygen bubble. Okay, this is the oxygen gas bubble is being, it is going to come out from the funnel, which is already inverted. So what you have to do is, a large beaker you will take, you have to take a short stem of the short stemmed funnel you will take, because if long stem would be there, how can you invert the test tube inside? And the complete part should be immersed inside water, at least this one. This funnel has to be immersed in water. Okay, then after a short stemmed funnel, you have to take a test tube, just invert it, and soda bicarbonate also has to be taken. Then fresh aquatic plant, that is hydrilla, would also be taken, which is kept under this funnel. Okay, now what you will do, you will pour some quantity of water inside the beaker, large size beaker. Place a few shoots of hydrilla aquatic plant in the bottom of the beaker, with the cut ends of the shoot should be kept outwards. So you will cut the plant, you will keep the cut plant over inside this funnel. You have to cut the stems so that you could easily see the bubbles coming out. Okay, then hydrilla plant at the bottom of the beaker. Then you have to invert the funnel. You have to invert a test tube over it. So as soon you are inverting a test tube over it, then what happens? You have to add a pinch of bicarbonate in the bubble in the test tube, so that in the beaker. Then what happens? As soon as invert the test tube fully over the beaker, then check the water, which is do not going to fall, and the bubbles of gas would be coming out as it is kept in the sunlight. As you are not able to, if you are not going to put this bicarbonate also, then also you can easily see that some of the bubbles are coming out after some time. So this gas bubble is of oxygen, which is coming out as the result of the oxygen, as a result of photosynthesis. So in the presence of sunlight, photosynthesis would occur. And what happens, this carbon dioxide is already being there in the water. This, with the presence of sunlight and water is also there, it is going to give rise to carbon dioxide. Oh, sorry, this is going to give rise to oxygen and the other products. Okay, so this is what is about. You can say that oxygen is also evolved during photosynthesis. Okay, so next, what you will do is, you can infer that the bright sunlight growing on the splinter against the gas. Okay, now if you have to collect this, just put it out. You have to take out this test tube and just cover it. You have to cover this test tube. As soon as you are bringing the burning splinter over this test tube, inverted test tube, you will see that the splinter starts burning in a very brighter manner, which shows that the evolved gas is oxygen. The evolved gas is oxygen. Now you can take some precautions also. You will take some fresh aquatic plant only. If you are taking a plant which is not living, which is not very fresh, it is not going to be, this activity would be regressed. I mean, this would be very slow in nature. Otherwise, it would be a very fast activity. Take a freshwater aquatic plant. Keep the aquatic plant dipped in the water before use. Then the water level should of the beaker should also be kept in just above the funnel. Okay, so it should be very similar. It should be like all the levels should be optimum. Then what you will do, you will remove the test tube and put the thumb over the mouth of the test tube, because oxygen is present inside this. And if you are removing the thumb, then what happens? Oxygen would be evolved outside and you cannot test the presence of oxygen inside this test tube. And how will you test the presence of oxygen inside the test tube? You will bring one burning sprinter over this test tube and you will see that the sprinter is going to burn very brightly. Then the next is about light. It is a source of energy of photosynthesis. Light is a visible part of electromagnetic radiations. It has a wavelength of 390 to 760 nanometers. Photosynthetically active radiations are there, that is PAR. Okay, so please remember that in the light also, complete light is not responsible for photosynthesis, children. So there is a light which is active, which is a part known as photosynthetically active radiation. So this is known as PAR. The full form is photosynthetically photosynthetic it is photosynthetically okay, active radiation. Photosynthetically active radiation. So this is between how much? This is between 400 to 700 nanometer. Okay, so this is about 400 to 700 nanometers where photosynthetically active radiations are there. Between these wavelength only, the photosynthesis is taking place at a very greater extent. Means सबसे ज़्यादा photosynthesis इसी लाइट की रेंज में होगा, that is from 400 to 700 nanometers. Okay, then a natural source of light is the sun, but artificial source could also provide energy to the plants of photosynthesis. Plants absorb light in most of the blue, violet color and red parts of the visible light. Violet blue light carries more energy as compared to the red light. Okay, now the plants growing under the shades also are mostly green. Some of the violet and some are violet in color. So there the lower rate of photosynthesis is happening. Now light has two functions. First one, photolysis of water, and also what is the next function? Water, photolysis of water and excitation of the chlorophyll is taking place to emit the electrons. So two functions of this light is what? The first one is to do the photolysis of water, which is going to break down the water molecule to give oxygen. And the next is it is going to give rise to the electrons. Then photolysis of water produces oxygen, protons and electrons. Electrons and protons, that is hydrogen ions, also produce ATP and NADPH2. Okay, this is also known as assimilatory products. So all these are actually the vocabularies of the higher classes, children. So there is, I think you would not be able to understand. So there is no need to understand that much. Just take an idea that oxygen is what are the conditions which are necessary for photosynthesis. Now the conditions which are necessary for photosynthesis, I have told you that water is necessary, sunlight is necessary, carbon dioxide is necessary, oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis. After reading the conditions, we have read also about the oxygen is also evolved. How you have tested it? By that hydrilla plant. It is giving out oxygen, and this was tested with the help of the burning sphincter. Okay, then after that, light is also necessary. It was also given as experiment. Like what you have to do, you will take one potted plant and again you will put one strip over it, black colored strip you will put, and then you will you will keep it for sunlight after for 2-3 days, and then what you will do, you will just pluck one leaf from there, de-starch it, and you have to perform the iodine test. And when you are performing the iodine test, the part which was covered with the starch, blue black color was being obtained. Okay, whereas the other portion, it was the covered part remains yellow, whereas other part is going to become bluish black. So the part which was being prepared, which was present in the sunlight, is going to become black blue in color, whereas the part which was covered under the black paper, it is not going to be turned into blue black in color. Okay, so that is going to give you the mechanism, that is going to give you the proof that sunlight is this I mean light is also necessary for photosynthesis, as starch is being prepared in the presence of photosynthesis. Okay, so children, that's all for today's video. We have discussed about the process of photosynthesis in details, then the conditions necessary for photosynthesis, and also we saw that oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis, and after that I have given you that the mechanism of photosynthesis. This photosynthetically active radiations are only responsible for the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so that's all for today's video, children. I'll meet you all in the next video with the next topic to be discussed.